And it was this like penny drop moment. I almost had an out of body experience where I went, oh shit, I'm not the star of the brand. The audience is.
Welcome back. This is Numbers Known. I'm going to let our guest introduce himself. But first, I want to try to do justice for the man that you see on your screen now. He has many names. You probably know most of them, but he is branded my sales coach. Bit of backstory. He sold gas and electricity to people praying he'd hang up. Wonder why he's so good at what he does now. He got told to move out of his own scene as a film extra on live TV. He burst out laughing within 10 seconds of meeting a future boss of his. And somehow this man, by simply being himself, has gotten 50 million plus views. He has two fictional coworkers named Larry and Barry, and he also has what is scientifically proven the most trustworthy accent in the world. He makes sales suck a lot less for a living. Please welcome the patron saint of cold call cringe, Tom Boston.
What an intro.
How are you?
I'm good. I mean, I hear applause in my head when I enter any room. You know, as a sales influencer, that's just constantly playing in the back of my mind.
I do have some sound effects mentally queued up all the time. There's a fart, there's booze, there's the laughter tracks, there's all of that. Okay. I was explaining to you the format of the show, and you said I needed to start over, but we don't have enough time for that today. So we'll get into it. The whole thing is I pick 3 numbers, and you pick 3. I think you're one of the first people in an effort to get to come talk. I actually sent the numbers to. You have a number that kind of defines personal, professional, whatever it is.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed thinking about this, right? Sort of numbers that mean something to me. I'll start with the first one, which I chose as number 3. And the reason that 3 means something to me is because for many years now, I have been coaching sales reps this theory that they should have a 3-pillar approach to building their brand. That involves an optimized profile, a content strategy, and an engagement strategy. Now, I think, Rob, a lot of people miss that third one, right? They're quite good at posting and they'll maybe make their profile look quite nice, but actually the engagement tends to kind of drop off. And it's my belief that without those 3 things, it's really difficult to build a personal brand. So that number 3 has been really kind of important to me over the years, and the people that I work with, I'm always talking about how are you doing with the 3 pillars, right? Which one do you need help on the most? So yeah, that's why I wanted to kick off with the number 3.
So I take notes on all these. I'll do my numbers on at some point, but I used to like actively listen and take notes for work as a behavioral psychologist. So a lot of like sales tactics and all of that has been good kind of on accident just from me being a good listener. I say that and I almost forgot what you said. The 3 pillars: profile, an outreach strategy, and an engagement strategy, correct?
Yeah, so profile, a content strategy, and an engagement strategy, yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask about the engagement strategy because I've seen something that I'll put out there. It seems weird to me that this is a thing. I know that in your world, you'd be able to speak on this, but this trust from comments or from showing up as a tactic seems very odd to me that would have to be tacticalized, that being involved would be something that you would do in order to target people. Now, I know that, you know, the only difference would be me showing up for Tom Boston content because we're friends or we're close or I genuinely enjoy it or I'm a fan or I learn from it. But that to me feels different than tactic. Can you help me figure that out? Like the engagement strategy as tactical versus the engagement strategy as genuine interest.
Well, let me talk to you about this. So you introed me there as someone who's had 50 million views, right?
Probably more than that. So my numbers may be not as current, but yeah, a lot of views, yes.
If you roll the clock back a few years, I'm an SDR that nobody has heard of. And I mean, nobody. I'm just some guy, some SDR trying their very best to scrape and close as many deals as possible, right? So like using LinkedIn for me was a way for me to become known. And I'm very open about the fact that in the early days, I stole a lot of my audience from the big players, right? By turning up in their comment section. So your big influencers, the real kind of sales influencers, as I call them, I made a really tactical choice to be like, look, I'm going to drop my video content in their comments and be like, hey, why don't you watch this like funny video? I'm going to hopefully add value to the conversation. I'm going to turn up every day and be really active and encourage people to come and have a look at what I've got going on my profile. And it's something I encourage everyone I work with to do right here, right now. They've already built the audience, so why not go and take a slice of the pie?
I think it's too early in our conversation to say I love you, but I do. And I'll tell you why. I've called that. I mean, I know you're in the sales world, but I feel like you'd be familiar with like Barnacle SEO, the concept. There's people trying to rank for blogs and keywords, essentially. And I forget the guy's name now, but essentially he realized I'll never rank above Amazon or Google or HubSpot or any of the big ones. Why don't I just add blogs or build content that I just attach to things that are already like incredibly popular? So I've been advocating for that as a content strategy. And it almost seems like how Spotify or YouTube or, ads might be served to you now. It's like, if you're already watching something or engaging with something that you like, it's like, hey, you might also like this. And my example that I've used recently, I mean, yesterday was, we're not going to be able to outrank like a Dharmesh, right, with 1 million followers. But the people that like the things he talks about are already there, right? It's more of like a graffiti in a way concept of, why not just go and add something into that, the comment section or an engagement, and people will by default see you. People try to rank for like the top comment now with something clever or funny. Our friend Chris Van Prague is really good at that. So is that kind of what you're saying, is like show up where people already are?
Well, we don't have pinned comments anymore, right? It used to be the fact that the author could choose to pin their own comment or pick their favorite and pin that to the top. Now the algorithm does it for us by how many likes it's got and if it's been engaged with by the author. So the best thing you can do in the comment section is get the author to both engage and respond to your comment. As soon as you do that, your comment's going to be the first thing that's seen by everyone engaging with that content. So if that person has got 100,000 followers, right, you're probably guaranteed that post has got at least 10,000 impressions. That's eyes on your comment. If you make it relevant, valuable, like you said, funny, entertaining, whatever your brand is, encourage people to come over to your profile. Let's not forget LinkedIn, I think this week or last week, just added that native follow button in the comments section. So I don't even need to go onto your profile, Rob, to follow you. I can just click follow straight away. I think that's massive, and it's something I encourage everyone that I work with to do.
That's one of the problems I have, is most people that don't go onto my profile also don't follow me because they never even, they don't see it. Quick comment, I'll give you my first number for you. It's weird to me that I've already felt like I've learned and done this, whereas I would think the conversation with you would be all laughs, and it's just exactly the opposite. I talked to somebody else recently that I won't name drop in this episode, but I thought it was going to be me learning the whole time, and it ended up just being a bunch of laughs. So I guess doing that, you never know what you get. I love 3. I think people have like a 3-pillar or a 3-step whatever, and this one is specific enough for people to follow, and you optimize your profile, right? That's not very hard, but it also gives people a lot of leeway in how they approach it. And there's sub-pillars specifically in the engagement comment, as we just talked about. All right, I have a number for you as well, and it's 2. Any ideas? This could be a lot of things. Any ideas why I pulled 2?
Yes, I don't have anything. Well, I've got a couple, but maybe I'll let you give me the answer. Yeah.
So this is a number that I think has a really good story behind it. I want to hear the story, but 2 is the number of times you'd worn a specific pair of shoes.
Yes. Yes.
If that's true, then I'll just let you go ahead. I think that's an unbelievably cool story.
So I get this job interview, right? 2019, and it's in London. Now, I'm not from London. You'll probably hear from my accent. I'm from the north of England.
I was gonna peg North England as the accent.
I was very nervous for this interview because I'm kind of a casual guy, right? I dress quite casually, but I had this big interview, so I thought, well, I better dress up. So I wore a suit and a tie and a shirt, and I thought, well, I better wear some shoes. I can't wear trainers, right? So I wore the shoes that I'd only worn previously on my wedding day. So these shoes were the shiniest shoes you'd ever seen. So I arrive in London for the interview in the shiniest shoes in the world, very awkwardly kind of wearing this suit that I know I don't look comfortable. And one of the first things that the person interviewing me asked was, do you normally dress like this? Bear in mind, he was in a hoodie at the time. To which I just burst out laughing. And I said, no, not at all. You're getting a kind of a fancy version of me, and I've only ever worn these shoes once before for my wedding day. But that did open up for a good conversation. It helped me to connect with that person and relax quite a little bit. Yeah.
So the dress shoes and the flannel is an epic combo. I mean, bonus points for the guy wearing the hoodie as well.
Yes.
Part of where that goes is like, I feel like content creators and people that are genuinely good marketers or in sales are really good storytellers. And so how do you approach like the concept of storytelling when you only have specific, typically shortened windows to do so?
Well, I think that, especially in this day and age, people get so bored, right? So easily. And I get bored. And I watch videos on 2x, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, this is 4 minutes long. I better make it 2 minutes long. So I'm thinking, well, if that's how I'm consuming the content, you better make sure that the content I'm going to put out for other people at least grabs attention, tells a story, is engaging, prompts them to share it. What I always say, Rob, is like, I say this to everyone I work with, nobody cares about you. And that seems like really depressing, especially for someone like me who thinks that they're such a great guy, right?
Yeah, it's 9:17 my time, and you're already talking about nobody cares about me. But we'll get through it. I think you have a point, though.
Yes. Well, the point is you have to make them care, right? You have to tell stories that stops them in their tracks, that hits them in the feels, that either makes them laugh, makes them cry, makes them think, makes them stop, makes them engage, whatever it might be. But it has to be about them. And the mistake I made for months is I made all my content about me. My early videos were me vlogging. Hey, everybody. Here I am. I mean, I'm just doing a podcast. And if you'd like to have a demo with me, because I need to hit target, hit me up,
Yeah, I have the vlog going on too. Yeah.
There you go. Right. Nobody watched that because nobody cares. And again, I'm all right with that. Nobody cares about Tom, right? I don't care about this guy. But actually, when I started to tell stories and create videos which were as about them and about their pain points and the things that they were going through that was relatable, then they started to care, right? And it was this like penny drop moment. I almost had an out of body experience where I went, oh shit, I'm not the star of the brand. the audience is there. I was like, right, they're the one. It just changed everything. Everything I made, I was like, okay, let's put something out there. You don't need to know who Tom Boston is to enjoy this content. You don't need to care about him and his life, but it will resonate with you in some way. And I've just been doing that now for like 6 years.
What you just said, like, you don't have to be the star, nor in a lot of cases should you be, if you're trying to create content that other people will like and resonate. For me, I mean, I'm kind of in the same spot right now, which is like brand/evangelism. Well, people need to see this thing in the background and have some association. But there's this concept of letting people almost trust them with their ability to self-educate, right? So if I'm watching a video about Barry, right, and cold calling, or I mean, any of the tons of things that you've done, eventually I'm going to be like, who in the hell is this guy? And who does he work for, right? There comes a moment of familiarity where familiarity turns to curiosity. You know, if I have 30 seconds a day for Tom Boston, and I'm like, I'll give Tom a minute almost on accident because he's consistent, he's creating content. At some point, right, don't you just assume people are going to have to know who you are or like who you work for or any of that? And by virtue of LinkedIn or social media, it's typically one click away, right? It's just bam. Oh, my sales. I get it now. I get why a lot of this content resonates with me.
We get inbound inquiries, and we've got a little form on our inbound inquiries. Where did you hear about us? And we often get Tom Boston, LinkedIn, Nia, LinkedIn, Mark on LinkedIn, right? Saw you guys. And if you scroll through our content, we very rarely go, hey, everyone, my sales coach can hook you up with an industry expert. We've got a roster of over 80 coaches. You know, we don't kind of roll like that. We just talk about things that resonate to the sales world. And as you talked about there, the natural curiosity of people who are in our world and in our ICP, they tend to find us, right?
We could do a whole other show just on that and about like what the content is that creates moments where people, you know, feel like they need to reach out. And I see it done really poorly and I see it done really well. One of the algo and your phone listening to you aside, I see a lot of ads like this on, you know, places now that almost exclusively lead with the pain, right? Like, I forgot what I said the other day. I have had a sunburn and that was peeling off. So it must have been like red peeling skin or, you know, something. And now I'm getting hit with all these, like, do you have, you know, dermatitis? But all of it leads with that pain, to your point of like leading with the confusion or the pain or like the experience, the story. And so there's this element of people realizing if this guy knows my story, if Nia, if Mark, if this company knows the pain and the story that intimately, they must have something that can help me, or they must have some advice or like they must have something that I would want to then go seek out. Is that kind of how you approach it?
100%. And the website can do a lot of the hard work there as well to help tell that story. We obviously have an outbound sales team as well who are working hard to connect the dots.
It'd be weird if you didn't, candidly.
But I think it's something that we're big advocates of here. Building curiosity, talking about pain, outlining ourselves as someone who can probably solve that pain without leading with we're the best on the market, because everyone is, right?
Yeah. Oh, so don't get me started. So this is the problem with this stupid show. Not that you're on it or anything, but we get into these conversations, which is the point, and now we're 20 minutes in. I'm going to let you give your second number so we can get through the rest of the numbers. But yeah, this is really good so far. I appreciate the insight.
Yeah. So my second number I went with was 10. 10 years it will be next year that I've been married to my long-suffering wife, Katie, who pushed me into B2B sales, kicking and screaming. Right, I was in retail, working in the Apple store, making no money, but telling people jokes on the shop floor and getting great feedback. Tom is great. He sold me an iPad. He was great. And my manager, Tom, you are great. And it just made me feel great. But then we were going to get married. Well, we did get married. And, weddings are expensive. So my wife found me the job that you talked about in the intro. She was like, Tom, there's a job. I've seen it advertised. It's a sales role. It's outbound. I think you should go for it. The money's good. And I did not want to take that job. But that's what got me into B2B, right? It was a B2B sales role. The gas and electricity was being sold to local businesses. So without kind of realizing, that was my first step onto the ladder. And without that role, without that experience, I wouldn't have got a job at Hootsuite. I wouldn't have moved to London. I probably wouldn't have got the job at SalesLoft, which led me to my role as my sales coach. So, that's the story I wanted to tell today.
Another good story. So this is weird and hopefully true, but my second number was 6, and it was about Katie/Miss Boston as well. It is the number of months from meeting your wife to quitting Wix. I don't know if Apple Store was a grocery store where they sold apples or a literal Apple store selling iPads, but the second number was more about whether it's 6 months or not. It's like this very positive, grounding, supportive force in your life. That's like, hey, if you just want to be great with, like a good review the whole time, whatever, but, maybe she recognized a talent. Maybe she just wanted, why was there a need to like push you out of the nest and see if you could fly and see if you could do like SaaS, outbound, all of that?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd never left the nest, right? And I was living at home with my parents. I was literally in the nest when I met my wife. And she just kind of held a mirror up to my life, I think, and sort of went in the nicest possible way and in the most Katie way ever. And I love her for this. She was like, what are you doing? Why are you working in a DIY store and living at home with your parents in your mid-20s? And it just kind of made me go, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. And Rob, people used to say to me, right, oh, you're wasted here. You're wasted here. And even though it was a joke, that was like a dagger, right? Because I was like, oh, I believe you. I think I'm probably wasting some talent by working in a DIY store for many, many years. And before I met her, I was just lost. I was just kind of circling around out of university. Did a drama degree because I like telling stories. Didn't know what to do with it. Tried to do a bit of radio with a friend. We did a podcast way before podcasting was popular and made people money. We just did it for the joy of it. It kind of flopped. And I was just, pacing. That's the best way to think of it. And she entered my life and accelerated it in a way I could never have expected. And I wouldn't be here without her. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, she saved my life, I think.
So my wife is going to love this episode because I feel a lot of the same way about her. The question from that and from, I've done tons of things, right? I've been it's kind of like the claim to fame, mayor of inbound. What does that mean? Well, it means I don't really know what, making up a title is kind of a reflection of me having been a firefighter, a behavioral counselor, a CrossFit coach, a car salesman, all these other things. Mm-hmm. And there, for me at least, there was this element of you have to like pick a career, and career is like occupation or topic of interest, right? When in the reality is like, I'm interested in a ton of things. Mm-hmm. So that firefighting, CrossFit, public service, whatever. I think maybe for you, and we're getting closer to the question, is like, what I've realized is more of is this approach to how I do whatever it is I'm doing that is more where the joy comes from, right? Mm-hmm. I would rather be light and comedic with the potential to be deep and insightful. I would rather be competitive in like a not cutthroat way. But it doesn't matter if maybe for you, if it's like Apple or DIY or my sales coach or like whatever it is, this attitude was part of the unlock from your wife of like, there's no need to be scared about enjoying things. There's no need to be a master of like one specific thing, Tom. It's more in how you should approach what it is you're doing in your life.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Having someone to speak to, for them to go, you know what, everything's going to be fine. Right? You don't have to stress. You can just be yourself, encouraging you to thrive. I remember one of the early conversations I had with Katie was like, you know, I'm making all this content, but it's kind of like quite me focused, right? Like I'm in every video. It's, you know, they're all kind of like quite Tom heavy, and she was like, good, you know, they should be. And I was like, right, yeah, okay, good point. Like, why not? You know, so she always gave me that confidence to be like, no, this you've got this, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of more in the past and more in the very recent past. That didn't make any sense. More like 2 or 3 years ago, and then more like yesterday for my wife. It's like, I want you to be involved in some of the content, whether it's being on screen or whatever, but like you're a big source of inspiration. You're the mother of all of our kids, you know, the human ones and the furry ones that we have. So there's this almost like you mentioned the nest, like you were quite literally in the nest. There's this element of like safety and security and encouragement that is very grounding in that if I do, let's say I make a Tom Boston video or try to be Barry or whatnot, and it absolutely bombs because my, you know, British accent is terrible and I don't get the joke and whatever. There's like some really weird stuff in putting yourself out there sometimes, and then having that default of like, I got my family. What do I care if it didn't do well, right? Like that's such a good, secure feeling, especially with, you know, cold calling rejection is one thing, but putting a video out to the public that doesn't do well is like a whole other kind of rejection. So you need somewhere, you know, safe to land, if you will.
I think to kind of sum up what you're saying, when you've got nothing to lose, then you're all good, right? Yeah. And I work with so many people, and it seems like they have everything to lose, right? Oh, what if this, like you said, what if this doesn't go well? Should I delete this video, Tom? No. You know, how are you going to learn what goes well if you delete what goes wrong? Right? We're scientists here. We're trying different things, and in the same way that I turn the volume up on things that land, I turn the volume down on things that don't. And as you talked about there, having someone at the end of every day to go, "I love you. I think you're great." Then you can't. You're almost unstoppable, I think.
Yes. How are you going to delete what goes well if you don't experiment with what goes wrong is a really good line. Like, process of elimination is a great way to learn. We do it in everything else. A/B testing. Why can't you do that with content? Well, a lot of people, maybe you and I are kind of numb to some of the failure or some of the experimentation, but a lot of people feel like canceled's the wrong word because of what that means today in 2026, but they feel like they can't have even one failure, you know, to learn how they make content, what an audience might respond to, all of that. It's very crippling. I'm going to let you give your last number as we're getting close to time. I have a very good last number that probably is going to be some talking points, but I want to get into that. What is your third and final number, Mr. Tom Boston?
So my last one is number 1. And the story behind this is I think you have to be known for one thing, right? You have to pick a lane, and people are very reserved to do that, right? Oh, Tom, what if I talk about this thing and then I become a firefighter, right? Then I'm going to be known for something else. Like, how do I shift lanes? All those years ago, I was like, I'm going to be the funny sales guy. That's going to be my thing. I nailed it to the wall. I was like, that's going to be the one thing I'm known for. And it helps people massively because people don't like to be overwhelmed with complication when it comes to, especially LinkedIn, right? I don't know about you, Rob, but if I see someone's content and I don't really know what they do, or like it doesn't make sense to me, I'm gone, right? I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't figure this out. So I'm always saying to people, one thing, choose your lane, tell your story really simply, and attach yourself to kind of one, some people call it a mission statement, one thing you want to be known for. The great thing about that is you can always change. You can pivot, you can switch lanes, but when you're in that lane, mean it. Who was it? Dolly Parton, who said, figure out who you are and do it on purpose.
Yes.
I love that. I love it.
I love Dolly Parton. Is there anyone that doesn't like Dolly Parton? Holy crap.
I don't think so. And, she hit the nail on the head there, right? Do it on purpose.
So we should have started here. I'm going to try to make this as quick. This is not going to be quick. I'll just go ahead and tell you. I'd strongly disagree with this. And I also can't deny that it's exactly right. Like my last number for you to round out the numbers and then just have the, finishing up conversation is 78.8. You might not get this, but this is 78.8% of school age autistic children are doing well in at least one of 5 key developmental areas by age 10. That's something that I live with. It's something that you live with, right? And I know you for that. Like, I know you. This now becomes the conversation. I probably found you from Barry and Larry and the funny stuff. And I was like, this guy is really good. I'm going to try to eventually steal some of his ideas or his humor, or just hope like osmosis. Like, if I get close enough to Tom Boston, some of it will rub off. And following led to all of that, right? One of the posts there was about how you'll never have a bad day again, ever, no matter what. So should you be known for one thing? Yes. Is, like, in my opinion, is that thing like being yourself and like committing to whatever it is you're doing? Yes. In that way, can you be known for other things that people care about, like autism awareness? Mm-hmm. Yes. So I don't know. This number ruined me. I 100% disagree with you. And I also 100% know that you're exactly right. Like, the one thing to be known for. How do I reconcile this? Because it's very much something I deal with as well, right? How do people reconcile like the one thing to be known for and having their other personal life stuff, their other interests, their other things they're passionate about, also accompanying that?
I wouldn't be a sales influencer if I didn't contradict myself every 5 minutes, right? So this is all part of the gig. You should be known for one thing, right? You should put yourself in a lane, but in the same breath, and I think you'd agree with me here, Rob, if all I did was hammer people every day with Barry and Larry and sales and comedy, here's a funny video, he'll laugh at my funny video, it's a bit much, right? Like, let's have a little bit of light and shade, right? Maybe you post a selfie of your day. People don't go very long without me bringing up my children. My boys are everything to me. They are both autistic. They both have a learning disability, both non-verbal, and autism has shaken our lives in a way that we could have never expected. So I tend to talk about autism on a day-to-day, right, with people I meet, friends, with family, with colleagues, and that has ultimately spilled over onto LinkedIn. People talk about authenticity and being real and being true. I just think try and be yourself, right? In all the jobs I've had, I've tried to make people laugh. I was making people laugh in the DIY store. I was telling jokes in the Apple store, and I make silly comments on cold calls to make people smile. Like, on LinkedIn, I'm doing all of those things. In my day-to-day life, I talk about my boys, so you're gonna see them. on LinkedIn. And yeah, never set out to be an autism advocate, never set out to be a voice for disability, but I will talk about autism on LinkedIn until they tell me to stop.
They won't, or I will, whoever's in charge of getting rid of all those people that would tell you to stop, I'll find them and I'll beat the hell out of them.
Okay.
I think it's important that you do to round us out, right? You had 3 pillars, profile, content, and an engagement strategy. You had 10, which is how long you've been married to your lovely wife, Katie, and then known for one thing as number 1. I almost felt like you could have gone in reverse order. Like, what would Katie say? Tom, you should have gone in reverse order. You would have had better stuff to talk about up front about the one thing. And the line about contradicting yourself is probably the best thing I've heard in a while, right? Like, man, that's very true. But if there's one thing that you're really, really good at in the skits, and that I'm sure my sales coach and what the business does, I'm just inferring this, is like help people understand the need for context, right? There is a ton of context to Tom that we can go pretty deep on, or we can kind of say surface level on, but that's why the stories work so well. That's why the comedy works so well, is like you are incredibly good at capturing, but I guess both with video and with story, the context of situations and showing that you understand it.
Well, I've lived it, right? The reason that the videos work is because people go, oh my God, that is so real. They don't tend to go, that is so funny, right? And you already kind of mentioned it at the top of the call. I'm probably not the funniest guy you'll ever meet, right? But I've probably been in situations that you've been in sales, right? I can probably tell a story that you'll go, oh, that's perfect. Like, oh, I've had that conversation with my manager. So my message to people who want to try comedy as part of their content strategy, don't try to be funny. People go down the route of wigs and silly voices. Not calling you out here, Rob. Some people do that. It works for some people. It works for you. But I'm here to say, like, just put something out there that makes someone go, oh my God, I've got to share that with Sarah. We just had that conversation earlier, and the algorithm will reward you for that share.
That's the thought I'm going to leave us on. I'll speak for Tom. You can follow him on LinkedIn. He has the famous profile pic doing this. My sales coach. Please make sure to send him lots of DMs. The one I made up recently with the Achu outreach, I would suggest that one. But yeah, it's crazy to me that the ending point of this is people typically don't say that's so funny. They say that's so real. And thus it becomes funny. Anyway, speaking of real and funny, Tom Boston, you've been great. Thank you for doing this. And I'm going to let you get back to it's the end of your day soon, right?
Yes, it's coming up. I'm winding down.
Word. Well, I'm just getting started. But yeah, go follow Tom. Tom, thanks for doing this. I will see you around, my friend.
Thanks, Rob. Enjoyed it.